Okay, so as I mentioned, the ops tracker front end for both the datasheet and frame manager is just HTML5. So any compliant browser will work for that. So there's a front end for both configuration and for clients, and so nothing to install. And then you can tie the users to Active Directory if you wish. You can have local users that are the username password stored within Ops Tracker, or you can do a combination of both, however you wish. So in this case, I'm just going to log in as a local user. And then we allow the ability to have multiple plants, because this is designed to be an enterprise solution. Obviously, if you're doing a single plant, you only have to have one. But the advantage is if you're doing a global rollout, it does allow you to have multiple plants, and then within the plants, you can set what the default languages are. For this, we're going to stick with English because that's what I know. And then once you've selected the plant, then you see what modules from the Ops Tracker suite that you have licensed. So in this case, we're going to pick eDatasheet. And then this gets you to where the form is. So the idea, as Jack mentioned, is to make simple, easy forms, easy to use, doesn't take training. And then the way we divide this up is there is a level which we call equipment. Now this is class-based, so you can actually have equipment classes like I'm going to show here with the columns. And then also you can use these equipment classes or the equipment level to be, it could be a department, it could be a building, it can be whatever you want. So there's no enforced hierarchy, there's just the ability to use this for organization and then for security as well. So that way if a user doesn't have access to specific equipment class, then they won't see it in their list. So that way you can manage what each user sees, and everybody doesn't have to see everything. And then even within the equipment, you can manage the form security itself as well. So in this case, I've only got one form. I'm going to call it up. This is for the column class, but the column instance is the 4820. So once I call it up, I've got some ability to make the screen so it's a little more user-friendly for exactly what I'm doing. So we're going to say, well, for today, I really just want to see one day at a time. And I'd like to make sure I'm looking at today. So now I can see anything that's backlit gray and has numbers in it in this case, then I know that has been saved out to Pi. In this case, we're not actually going to allow you to change that. So if I double click on this and I can try to type all I want, simply can't make a change. So once these values are written to Pi, it's saved. Now, as I go through all these options are at the form level. So that way you can have different forms with different ways to display, different security, etc., how you want it set up. A couple of things like that always exist. So as there is, you can see here, there's a comment and then the ability just to enter data. I'll go back to the comment. So if I do enter data here, I can, as I would in a spreadsheet, I can enter it in, I can tab over. And then if I type it in and it's out of range, so in this case, I forgot the 0, excuse me, it'll pop up and show me, I can see the green for in range, I can see the red for out of range. And then the ranges are configurable for the specific values that you're entering. So each one can have its own range. It can have high and low, it can have high or low, or it can have none whatsoever. And then how we handle these ranges is also configurable on a form level. So in this case, when I try to save this, it's going to tell me you can't save a value out of range here, right? So if I go ahead and say save, it'll tell me, nope, that's not within 0 and 1. Not going to allow you to save that no matter what. We can also have it so it'll allow you to save it, but you have to enter a comment. Or we can have it so you can just save it. It doesn't care if it's out of range. It'll always still display red if it is. So in this case, then once I hit the save, then it goes ahead and sends the values out. As I mentioned, this shows me here that there is a comment. So comments can be edited and added at any time. They're just strings that you can enter in. You can have multiple lines. You can put multiple text. People can come in and do it. Anytime anybody saves anything, it gets recorded. So there is an audit trail on this. So it keeps track of the user who was logged in and the timestamp at which they made any change, whether it's entering a comment, thing like that. And then both with the comments and the data, comments and data can be configured to send out to separate PI tags. Now we can send to a PI tag directly by referencing the tag name, or we can send the PI tag through an AF attribute. Either way, you can mix and match. But you also can set this up so you don't have to send everything to a PI tag. So for example, on this, if I say, well, I don't really want to have all these comments stored in PI, just want them in eDatasheet, that's perfectly okay. You simply don't point the comment to a PI tag, and then it still gets saved, and you can still, in the SQL database, and you can still see it as you move through eDatasheet. And as I mentioned before, this is class-based. So the advantage of doing class-based is I can switch to another piece of equipment in that same class, and then it'll simply pull up the same form, leaves everything the same. I don't have to go reformat anything. So if I got a bunch of these and I'm cycling through them and I want to enter data, I can enter data. I can quickly then go to the next one, and I'm on the same day, everything, and I can. A couple other things you'll see on this one is the way it's arranged. We do have the tags on the top row, and then the timestamps going vertically. I'll show a reverse of that later. And also you may notice that these have perfectly even timestamps. And in this case, this is set up for sampling. So I've defined for this form, I want to sample every 4 hours, and I'm going to save that timestamp into PI exactly at 4 hours. You can make it so it does just this, but still allow people to edit the timestamps. In this case, I'm not allowing that. And then you can also do ad hoc.